Hello and welcome to the Smart Connections podcast and the Talk the Path podcast. My name is Anna Sanderlin. I am a warm-line facilitator for the University of Memphis Smart Center. The University of Memphis School of Social Work Smart Research, Training, and Treatment Center aims to provide evidence-based interventions for school-based mental health programming, increase access for school-based behavioral health programming in underserved areas, offer training on best practices in telebehavioral health, develop opportunities to research the use of technology in practice, and provide direct services to the state's most vulnerable populations. You can call the Smart Center at 901-678-1636. The University of Memphis Smart Center, in conjunction with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, would like to present the Pathways to Behavioral Health Careers Project. The goals of the Pathways Project are to provide education and information on the various career opportunities in the field of behavioral health through presentations, increase interest in students in the field of behavioral health, provide opportunities for guidance with information regarding college, university programming that result in degrees for professions in the field of behavioral health, connect students with students in behavioral health programs and professionals in the field for further research. This podcast will feature students and professionals in the field to give a clear picture of the daily duties of these roles and how they help support their communities.
Thank you for inviting me and being interested in the work that we do at Hearts and Horses.
So our first question for you, Ms. Tamara, today is, can you please explain what the term equine assisted services means for listeners that may not already know about it?
Sure. So equine assisted services is a large umbrella term that involves three primary areas, one being therapy, another being learning, and another being horsemanship. And so in our industry in equine assisted services, we're working with children and adults with all different types of disabilities to help them basically reach goals through an interaction with a horse or an equine. So that's the broad brushstrokes of what it is. Yes.
Another question we have is, how does this type of therapeutic service differ from direct therapy services with a psychologist or a therapist?
Yeah, so I can talk to you a little bit about the therapy piece. So the one branch of the work that we do is under the umbrella of therapy, and that's where occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech pathologists, mental health practitioners will basically be working with a client in the experiential setting of the ranch as opposed to in a clinical setting. And they have very specific therapy goals. I think that our program can be incredibly beneficial for individuals that maybe have stalled out in a traditional therapy setting, whether that be physical, speech, occupational therapy, or mental health work. So sometimes the individuals are more motivated to come into a natural setting at the ranch. They are oftentimes, it's easier to connect with a animal that is, doesn't judge. And so, so that's one thing that we hear repeatedly with the intervention of incorporating horses into therapy. What we do here at Hearts and Horses is we focus more on the adaptive riding, so therapeutic riding, where we're teaching individuals with various disabilities horseback riding skills as a kind of an adaptive sport. Okay, So we're doing that in a safe setting. The other program that we have is equine assisted learning, where again, we're teaching, social emotional learning skills. We're teaching psychosocial skills, all in the presence of the horse. So I can give you some examples in each of those areas specifically related to our program, if that
an example
is of interest to you. Okay. So as I mentioned, the three kind of branches of equine assisted services are therapy, learning, and horsemanship. So in the therapy realm at Hearts and Horses, we work with occupational therapists and physical therapists, as I said, where they're seeing clients here at the ranch as opposed to in the clinic. And what those therapists are doing is they have a very specific therapy goal. So it might be working on postural response. It might be working on balance. And so the horse, what they have found is the horse's movement mimics the three-dimensional movement of the human pelvis exactly. And so when you put someone on the back of the horse that doesn't have a normal gait or movement, the horse can actually translate all of that input up through their pelvis and spine to have a more sort of normalized feeling of a normalized gait. With the mental health lens, so I can say I just came from the last week of a chronic pain clinic for veterans with chronic pain. And we just finished up, and I said to them, what are your big takeaways? How has this experience been different than maybe other experiences that you've had with other, interventions? And the big thing that they said was they were more motivated to come every week to Hearts and Horses. They felt that a small group setting where they were able to be accepted by other veterans in the group and be accepted by the volunteers just as they were. That was incredibly beneficial. They felt like the connection with the animal, with other veterans, and then just nature here at the ranch basically helped move the needle for them in terms of progress more than any other intervention has. And so those are some of the stories and that you hear quite a bit. And that's under that therapy umbrella. Under the learning umbrella, so I can tell you that we partner with local school districts, and we do full day school programs for youth at risk. And these are kids that have been identified by counselors and teachers and principals that are not thriving in a typical school setting. They have not met, certain goals. They need just more support. And so these kids are referred to us for our full day school program. We partner with 3 middle schools from our local district, and they come out and they spend the whole day once a week for 8 weeks. And again, we're basically front loading social emotional learning with these kids, and then in a classroom setting to start. And then we go out and spend the rest of the day with the horses with whatever that SEL theme is. So that's an example of how the learning category might show up. And then there's the adaptive riding. And the adaptive riding, as I mentioned, or therapeutic riding, sometimes you hear it called, that is for individuals with disabilities that want to horseback ride in a safe setting. So that's where we have individuals, with Parkinson's disease, we have children with Down syndrome, children with autism, all benefiting from learning to ride in this safe setting. And those goals are primarily riding goals. Or groundwork horsemanship goals. So that's kind of a nice distinction between those 3 overarching topics in our industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. That seems like you guys have a great community outreach too, especially being able to reach out to multiple different aspects of the community. I really like that you guys are working with the middle schools in your area because anything about middle schoolers, they go home and they tell their parents about it and everything. And I'm sure that's something that they're going to get, to take with them further on. So that's awesome.
It's definitely such a out of the box experience when it comes to like therapy services that you just want to know how is everything incorporated. Like you just want to know how is it working. So I definitely understand why you guys are such a popular company.
Yeah. So I think that's a great segue into one of the big things that we're trying to do in our industry is explain the how it works.
Right.
We all know it works, right? All of us that have been in this industry for years and years, we have these amazing stories of, children with autism speaking their first word and, veterans, finding their finally finding their path forward. Or, we all have heard these amazing, remarkable stories, but the big push right now is well, how is this working? Yeah. Right. And so one of the things that we are doing at Hearts and Horses is we are partnering with researchers from all over the country to help quantify the impacts of what we do. And so we just wrapped up a study with Dr. Robin Gabriels, who is a researcher at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. And she studies specifically children with autism. And she's done sort of the seminal work in our industry on how this works. So she received a big NIH grant to do a randomized controlled trial on the benefits of therapeutic riding for children with autism. And so we were looking at cortisol pre and post. We were looking at heart rate variability pre and post riding. And we were looking at galvanic skin response pre and post riding, all indicators of a stress response. Because what we see, whether it's somebody with autism or a child that has been sexually assaulted or a veteran with PTSD, what we see is regulation. So their systems become more regulated with the connection with the animal. So what's happening and how is that happening? So that's the big thing that I think our industry is making great strides right now. And we're really in the infancy, to be doing research. But there's a big push right now to understand how this is happening. And the other interesting piece is there's studies out there right now looking at this idea of co-regulation. So, is that individual, is their system almost getting in sync with the horse's regulatory system? And we do see that. We do see co-regulation happen. So yeah, it's an exciting time in our industry for sure to be finally quantifying the impacts that we've all seen for a long time.
Right. Absolutely. So I know that you said that you guys, you work with veterans, you work with children who have autism. It seems like you guys work with a lot of communities that have certain disabilities. Do you guys happen to have any limitations for your services at Hearts and Horses? Do you have any age limits?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So our therapy services, so that's working with the OTs and PTs, they can take younger children than the therapeutic riding program. So they can start kids as young as 2.
Okay.
In the therapeutic riding program, we usually start about 5, and then there's absolutely no limit on age. We do have a program called Riding in the Moment for individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia. And our oldest, we've had a gentleman close to 100 years old out here riding. There are some contraindications with other things such as, if there's fire starting tendencies, abuse to animals. Our industry basically has a list of contraindications that kind of would keep someone from being able to participate. But for the most part, if they're riding, we have weight restrictions. So each of our horses have a very specific weight restriction. But other than that, we're open. Spinal cord injuries. So individuals that have a very high spinal cord injury that wouldn't be able to support themselves on the back of the horse with their trunk independently. Usually that's contraindicated, but there's a lot of programs out there that do have driving programs. We used to have a driving program. We don't have a driving program right now, but those driving programs oftentimes where that's somebody driving a horse from a cart behind the cart. Usually, if somebody does have a higher spinal cord injury, they can participate in a driving program easier than they could riding astride the horse. So those are just some of the precautions that we have to be aware of.
Yeah, completely.
Okay. And also, everything has a start, everything has an origin. So I just want to know, what is Hearts and Horses, what is its origin story, the background of the start of it. And also your own experience working with equine therapy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I can tell you that my story, I was a kid that was sort of, had a lot of not great stuff happen as a child. And horses were my kind of, they saved me, I often think. So I had horses from a very young age, and I think they really defined who I was. And this has obviously been my life's work. So I've been doing this work for 34 years. So I think that, they basically, horses kind of changed my life in the best possible way, right? For Hearts and Horses, we started in 1997, and really it was a community involvement. It was, I think there was a $25 donation from the local police force to kind of get something going, and we started with like 1 or 2 horses, and 1 or 2 riders and a few volunteers, and we now are, that was in 1997. We're now own our own ranch, 23 acres. We have a herd of 33 equines. We have the largest volunteer program in Larimer County. We have a staff of 30, and we are well respected in our community, as well as, nationally as well, for doing the work that we do. So it's been a lot of hard work and sweat and tears, but we've got we're very fortunate here to have what we have.
Yeah. And how did you personally become a PATH International Certified Therapeutic Riding Instructor?
So I have a degree in sports medicine, kinesiology and sports medicine from Colorado, from CU in Boulder. And I was obviously a lifelong horse person and had been exposed to therapeutic riding. I answered an ad in the paper that they were looking for volunteers, this center in Boulder. And so I just showed up one afternoon and realized, oh my gosh, I could combine my 2 loves. And that's what started me on my journey, was really just volunteering. And then I quickly got certified to become an instructor. And then I developed programming to teach other instructors on how to get certified. And then I became the director, and I've done everything from, fundraising to program development to marketing, and a little bit of everything. But my heart is in teaching and working with people, helping them to make powerful connections like we just did with our pain clinic today.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see that somebody is able to take a passion that they have that has helped them in their life and turn it into something that helps other people, helps the people in your community. So what you guys are doing over there at Hearts and Horses is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, we feel like we are a real asset to the community. I think there's a lot of people right now that just are in need of connection in a different way. I think our distracted environment that we're in, our fractured environment that we're in, just is creating a lot of stress for everyone. And I think the one thing I hear from people repeatedly is, as soon as they step foot on the ranch, they can sort of take a big, deep sigh and let a lot of those stressors of our everyday world sort of just pause and be present. And, that's one thing that we always talk to our students about is, that's where the horses live, is they live in the present moment. And so we have a great opportunity. If we want to connect with them, then we need to show up and be present as well. And so, so I think it's a great opportunity for us to help kind of make the world a better place by just helping people feel good about themselves. So
that's great. That's really great.
And I know we kind of already talked about the programs and services that you guys offer, but what type of internship options do you currently have available?
So there are, on our website, we have a button that lists our internships. And we have internships, everything from individuals that are wanting to become instructors. So there's a number of equine science individuals that, would like to do or they do internships where they're focusing in on the equine aspect of what we do. We have a lot of social work students here doing internships, and they typically are helping with the equine assisted learning programs. So like the veterans program or our changing leads program for youth at risk. We have marketing interns. Those interns are fabulous. They help us with, a lot of our special events. We have program development interns. Those interns are vital in helping us to continue to fundraise for programs. So yeah, there's all different kinds of opportunities. Right now, I can put a plug out. I'm looking for an instructional design intern. So somebody that could help me develop a course, an online course, training course. So anybody out there?
Yeah, anybody listening.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to know, with those services and those internships, do they run throughout the year, or they're only for like certain seasons?
No, they run throughout the year.
Okay.
We have, different interns for different seasons. So we'll have summer internship programs. We have, fall. Oftentimes the Masters of Social Work students, they sign up for the whole year. And we do have limited spots. So we can't just have a whole bunch of people, because we want to be able to provide a quality experience for people. So we do, limit it. We ask people to send in resumes and applications. So yeah, but it's a great experience, I know, for those interns. And many of the interns, choose to get their certification and follow this path themselves. So
absolutely.
Is it a process that you have to go through for like interns or volunteering?
Yeah, so there is a process on our website that takes you through, if you're interested in interning, all the steps that you go through. Volunteering, same thing. We have a pretty extensive training program based on what volunteers want to do. And we use volunteers for everything from, office management, administrative support, answering phones, all the way to cleaning the barns and repairing fences, to volunteering in class with our individuals, with our participants. So horse leading or walking alongside the individual if they need support alongside of the horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know earlier you guys had mentioned that y'all have about 30 plus equines currently working with you. And after looking on y'all's website, I saw that you guys have a beautiful herd over there. So I just wanted to ask, what's the average amount of time that an equine works or volunteers with you guys?
Oh, that's a great question. It can be years. I mean, we have our oldest horse right now. He's almost 30, and we are going to be retiring him. He probably could go another 2 years, honestly, but we are going to retire him and send him back to his owner so he can have his last few years just in peace. But I have to say, our average age, we're trying to bring down the average age. So our average age now, I want to say, is maybe 13. And we have all different breeds, and our goal is to help keep them happy and content in this job for as long as possible. In terms of how long horses can last doing this work, I think it really depends on the environment that they have and how happy they are. I've been part of some programs where they're chewing through horses, like every year, because the horses are just getting burnt out. Our program puts a ton of energy and time into providing an enriched environment for the horses. So our horses go out in pasture with their friends every single day. We limit the amount of time that they're allowed to work in a really significant way. So some horses only do 3 classes a week. The max number of classes per week that a horse will do is 8. And so we really listen to them. They get all kinds of supportive services, from acupuncture to massage to, high level equine vets that are performance vets that will. So we see our horses as performance horses. They cannot be horses that are lame or, have serious injuries, because that's not fair to anyone. And so we get horses that are donated, leased, or we've actually been able to purchase some horses, and they need to be 100% sound and, are able to work. We do have a pretty extensive training team that are, fabulous riders, and they train the horses. So the horses don't just have our participants on their backs. We do have people that can really take them through their paces every week so that they are maintaining muscle mass. And so we put a lot of energy into the longevity of our horses, and we see it pays off. I mean, we've had horses in this program for years and years that are just happy doing their job. And it's not the perfect thing for every horse. I mean, we bring them in on like a 90-day trial to a 6-month trial to see if they're going to be appropriate. And they usually let us know pretty quickly if this is going to be a setting that they like. It's very different. There's a lot of people around them. Yeah.
And being a program that works with animals, it's wonderful to see that you guys are also prioritizing the horse's health along with your client's health. Because if they're not healthy, if they're not 100%, then they can't do their job to the fullest extent to help you with your clients. So it's awesome to be able to see that you guys take as good care of them as you do with your clients.
Yeah.
And speaking of the care for the clients and the horses, I know you said that you're also researching co-regulation with the clients and the horses. Is there anything else that you guys are researching right now?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we just wrapped up this study with Dr. Robin Gabriels. She and her team are now processing all the data, hoping to publish a paper in 2025. We have a couple of other proposals out with a number of different researchers, also looking at the physiology of what's going on with our riders. We are embarking on a program with Dr. William Marchand from the University of Utah. And he's developed a program called Whispers with Horses, which is a mindful and self-compassion based curriculum for veterans with PTSD. And so he's piloted the program with great results in Salt Lake and is now reaching out to centers around the country to be a host site to be able to see if we can replicate the results that he's had in Salt Lake. So we'll be launching that in January. Yeah. So we have a number of different things out there in the world. Yeah. Of research.
Absolutely. Yes. And I know running a program like this, of course, there's costs, and those costs can help or really more like hinder progress that you guys might see. So if you all had an unlimited budget, as much money as you could possibly dream of, what would you guys spend it on and why?
Wow, my gosh. I can say that, we do charge for our services, but our services we underwrite, probably 75% of the services that we, what we charge. We charge $40 for an hour-long lesson. And I would say 50% of the people that we serve are not able to pay that. So we are providing scholarships for them. But the actual cost to us is more like $115 per lesson. Mm-hmm. And so we're constantly out fundraising. And we're fundraising for participant scholarships. We're fundraising for equine sponsorship. So it's $5,000 per equine per year to support them. And so that's one of the big pushes right now is we're going to try to have every single one of our equines sponsored. And we're not there yet, but we're getting there. But there's a lot of perks to people that say they want to sign up and sponsor a horse. So we're excited about that. We have general operating that, we're constantly trying to raise funds for general operating, basically. We have a couple of capital projects right now where we're trying to build some more loafing sheds for the horses. And so there's one of the research studies we're trying to get funding for. So, oh my goodness, there's all different kinds of needs basically in our program. And we are writing grants all the time. And we just had a big annual fundraiser that went pretty well. And that does help cover the costs of programming for a while, but certainly not for the whole year. So we are actively in the community raising funds to be able to continue to do the good work that we do.
I'm pretty sure your community is very willingly been wanting to participate in the fundraising as well. I'm pretty sure it's a great mission that you guys have. So
it is. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I also want to ask if anybody was looking to start their career in the equine therapy community, what advice would you give them? Like, what are requirements? Like, do they have to go to school for it? What's the process they have to go through?
So one place I would really drive people if you're interested in finding out more about this profession is there's a national organization called PATH International, PATH, is the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. And they set all the standards and guidelines for the therapeutic riding centers all over the country. And they have a certification process that you can go through if you want to become an instructor. They have a accreditation process to go through if you have a site and you want to start providing services for people with disabilities. They provide a ton of supportive services for folks that want to get that started to become a member. And, we're a premier accredited center, so we have to kind of abide by all those standards and guidelines. And we go through accreditation every 5 years to make sure everything is safe and is done to the standards, high standards that PATH sets out. So it's just PATH International. You can just Google them and find them. But I think that probably would be my recommendation, to start there and do a little perusing of their site to see what the certified therapeutic riding certificate is.
Absolutely. Now, kind of moving away from the business aspect of it, do you guys happen to have any special events coming up in the spring or summer of 2025 that y'all would like to advertise?
So we have our next big, I would say, fundraising event is really probably the funnest one that we have all year. It's called the Equine, and it's a Valentine themed fundraiser. And what we do, starting usually end of January, beginning of February, we create dating profiles for all of our horses. Talk about anthropomorphism at its
so cute.
But basically, they all have their own dating profiles, and they're fabulous, so funny. And we just embrace it completely.
Absolutely.
We just have fun with it. And we ask people to buy a Equine for their favorite horse at $10 a Equine. And then there's a competition amongst the horses. And so the horse with the most Equines on February 14th becomes Equine of the year. And they get like a special halter, and they get fancy blankets, and their stall gets decorated, and it's a big deal.
That's
so anyway, check our site out, beginning of February, if you want to participate in our Equine.
Absolutely. Go vote. Let's see which horse is the best horse this year.
Oh my gosh. It becomes like a seriously heated event where right up till the end, it's like, a couple of horses might be neck and neck, and then overnight, the night of the 13th, somebody might just come in with like this $1,000, buy, basically 100 Equines for Leroy or whoever.
Right, for their favorite.
Leroy wins, so it's pretty fun.
Has one horse been like a continuous winner throughout the years?
No, we've had different horses every year. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody gets the love.
Oh my gosh. It's really neat to see. And we actually had last year, a couple of our volunteers created fan clubs where they actually made t-shirts to try to get their horse to get the most votes. Oh yeah. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I love that. That's got to be a fun community. What are you wearing that shirt for? Oh, this is just my favorite. We go vote. Right. Go give a Valentine to your favorite equine.
Yeah. And the dating profiles, I have to say, are hysterical because they have a celebrity. Each horse has a celebrity lookalike. They have, their, favorite, I don't know, favorite coffees. I mean, it's really funny.
Just to match their personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And besides the fundraisers, are there any other ways you can donate to you guys? Or is there a wish list you guys have for supplies that you need?
Yeah, for sure. Our website is heartsandhorses.org, and the word "and" is spelled out. And there is a button at the top that says donate. And under there is our wish list. There's all different ways to donate and get involved. And so I would definitely, encourage people, if you're interested in finding out more, to go to our website, heartsandhorses.org. We also have a YouTube channel, Hearts Horses Colorado. And on the YouTube channel, we have all of our videos. So we put a lot of energy into sharing our story, worldwide through videos. And there's a story there that we just finished for our big fundraising event that highlights the autism research that we've been doing with Dr. Gabriel's. So I think that one's called The New Science of an Ancient Connection, and it's on our YouTube channel. So, and there's a link to get to the YouTube channel. So it's just heartsandhorses.org.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, Ms. Merritt, I think our interview is starting to come to an end, but before we finish and wrap up, I wanted to ask, is there anything else you'd like our viewers out there to know?
I don't think so, but I'm happy to be a resource for folks if you are interested in finding out more or have specific questions. I'm just Tamara at heartsandhorses.org. Happy to chat with people and, answer any questions that you might have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again for coming on with us. And for everybody listening, please check out the Hearts and Horses website, where Ms. Merritt had mentioned. That's www.heartsandhorses.org, with the word "and" spelled out for you guys, to view more about the equine assisted services, as well as their YouTube channel, Hearts Horses Colorado. And if there's anybody out in the Loveland, Colorado area, please make sure to check in February for that special event that they've got coming up. Thank you again so much for speaking with us. We had a wonderful time today.
Great. Nice to talk with both of you.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a good weekend. Okay.
All right. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to listen to our podcast, brought to you by the Smart Connections podcast from the Smart Center at the University of Memphis, as well as the Pathways to Behavioral Health Careers Project. If you or anyone you know needs any information from the Smart Center, please contact us at 901-678-1636 or email us at smartcenter@memphis.edu. You can also learn more about us at our website, memphis.edu/smartcenter.